Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mokham Karoti Vachalam Svangam Hayate Girim Yatri Padamam Mande Shri Gurum Dinatadanam Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottama Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Bhojayam Madhivaya Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripasindhubhyaya Paritana pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Nashta praishya vajeshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavad-utama shloke bhaktiya bhavati naishtiki Nigamakakataraogalitam phalam sukhamukadam mritadhyavasamyitam Sripata bhagavatam rasamayam muhuahodasika bhuvibhaka We are reading 6th canto, chapter 3, verse number 16. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Yamvai Nagobir Munas Manasa Subhir Yamvai Nagobir Manasa Subhir
Atmanam Antaridi Santam Atmanam
Antaridi Santam
Atmanam Antaridi Santam Atmanam
Chakshur Yatai
Vakritayas Tata Param
Chakshur Yatai Bhakritasya Tata Param
Chakshur Yatai Vakritayas Tata Param
Chakshur Yatai Vakritayas Tata Param
Chakshur Yatai Vakritayas Tata Param Yamvaina Gobir Manasa Subhira Vida Gira Vasu Vito Vichakshate Atmanam Antaridi Shantam Atmanam Chakshuyataiva Kritayastata Param
Yamvaina Gobir Manasa Subirva
Yamvaina Gopir Manasa Subirva
Vidagirava Subrito Vikshakshate
Ridagirava Subrito Vichakshate
Atmanam Antaridi Santam Atmanam
Atmanam Antaridi Shantam Atmanam
Shakshuryate Vakritaskata Param
Chakshuyataiva Kritayastata Param
Yam,
Yam
Who, Why, Indeed, Not,
Not
Gobi, by the senses,
by the senses,
Manasa, by the mind, Asubi, by the life breath, Va, or, Vrida, by thoughts, Gita, by words, Va, or, Asubrita, living entities, Chakshate, see or know, Atmanam, the super soul, Antaridi, within the core of the heart, Santam, existing, Atmanam, of the living entities, Chakshu, the eyes, Yata, just like, Eva, indeed, Abridaya, the different parts, or limbs of the body, Tataha, then them, Param, higher. As the different limbs of the body cannot see the eyes, the living entities cannot see the Supreme Lord, who is situated as a super soul in everyone's heart. Not by the senses, by the mind, by the life air, by thoughts within the heart, or by the vibration of words can the living entities ascertain the real situation of the Supreme Lord. Purport. Although the different parts of the body do not have the power to see the eyes direct the movements of the body's different parts. The legs move forward because the eyes see what is in front of them, and the hand touches because the eyes see touchable entities. Similarly, every living being acts according to the direction of the Super Soul, who is situated within their heart. As the Lord Himself confirms in Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sanvishta Matasmiti Gyam Aponam Cha. I am sitting in everyone's heart and giving directions for remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita it is stated, Ishvara Sarvabhutana Hrideshi Arjuna Tishtati. The Supreme Lord is the Super Soul, is situated within the heart. So there was the verse, Ishvara Sarvabhutana Hrideshi Arjuna Tishtati. The living entity cannot do anything without the sanction of the Super Soul. The Super Soul is acting at every moment, but the living entity cannot understand the form and activities of the Super Soul by manipulating his senses. The example of the eyes and the bodily limbs is very appropriate. If the limbs could see, they could walk forward without the help of the eyes, but that is impossible. Although one cannot see the Super Soul in one's heart through sensual activities, its direction is necessary. Srila Prabhupada ki. So we understand from the Vedic scriptures that when the living entity moves within this world, it is overcome by ignorance. When Brahma created different phenomena in this world, under the guidance of Krishna, he had to take knowledge from the heart. He could not create anything. He was born in, and ignorance, as every living entity is born in ignorance in this world, overcome by the dualities of desires and hate. So Brahma was there and he didn't know, he didn't see anything in the universe. He was just sitting on that lotus. And he was trying to search also within the lotus and the stem, but he could not find anywhere the source of his existence. So then he heard that word tapa, by the grace of the Lord. And he used it because he was given intelligence by the Super Soul to meditate on the source of everything that exists. And more it became a process of worshipping that Supreme Source. And finally that Supreme Source manifested to him as the sound of Krishna's flute. That was the first thing was revealed to him. And then Krishna revealed so much knowledge to him, to the heart, Atena Brahma Hrida. And then from the four lotus mouths of Lord Brahma also, the same sound that he heard with his 8 ears became manifest as the Kamagayatri mantra, or the original mantra of worshipping Krishna, which is also used in Goloka Vrindavan for worshipping Radha and Krishna. So then from that also he received knowledge how to create. And the first thing he created was the 5 times of ignorance, because after all this material world. Then he created so many planets, living beings who were in this ignorance. And one type of this ignorance is that we identify with this material body. Unless we identify falsely with this material body, what business do we have in this material world? So Brahma's service is to keep this material universe going, and that the living entity are very enthusiastic to think they are this body, and that they will have nice bodily relationship with each other, and then many children, and then so many things that are needed for the family, like houses, and cars, vehicles, clothes, vases, and to put the different furniture and so on. But all these things are not really needed for the spirit soul, but we believe all this is necessary. So this is one type of ignorance. One is illusion, one is Mahamoha, great illusion. Like this, the 5 types of ignorance were created in the beginning. Without the presence of the sun in this universe, there would be no light, it would be completely dark. Therefore, being in this universe is called Tama. Tama means ignorance. And it also means that darkness is there. Because the greatest darkness is ignorance. When you're ignorant, you cannot see. So the living entity can only perceive matter in a 3-dimensional way. It does not understand the super soul as multidimensional. It has more facets to its existence than it can perceive. Therefore here Srila Prabhupada is explaining this, that although the living entity is in everyone's heart, the living entity cannot do anything without the sanction of the super soul. That we have been discussing in this question and answering session quite elaborately, how the living entity is situated in the heart, and the super soul is there in the heart. But the difference is that the living entity can just desire things, but the super soul at every moment is making possible the fulfillment of all the desires. Even just so that we can actually know in which direction to move, that the super soul is given. So, and the example is given here that just like the parts of the body, the leg and the hand, they don't have their own eyes. Otherwise they may not require guidance by the brain and by the eyes. They could simply move on their own, but that is not possible. the eyes are necessary so that somebody sees the direction in life. So simply materialistic advancement is not really producing any tangible progress. When we first came to India many years ago, 74, 75, hardly anyone knew about ISKCON's mission, Lord Chaitanya's mission in India. It was very much forgotten, but everyone was very eager to imitate the West, and everyone spoke of technological advancement, but India was so much behind at that time, and now they are accelerating. At that time, there was no existing roads that worked. Mostly we were just using horse coaches, even in the Vrindavan, Mathura area, but no cars, which was quite nice actually. And if you wanted to buy anything, there was nothing available because imports were more or less forbidden with high taxes, so you couldn't buy anything that actually works, and they didn't manufacture anything that really worked. Even I tried to buy a torchlight, it was breaking apart in 1 or 2 days. But what India really had was a great treasure of spiritual knowledge. And what the West, we didn't have, and that's why we came to India, is because we were blind. We had all this advancement, but all this advancement, we were all afraid in the 60s and 70s, it would only lead to the complete destruction of this planet. Everyone may remember who was around at that time, those who are older. And especially in Western Europe, everyone was concerned that any moment a big world war would break out in America and Russia and China. And the Vietnam War was going on. And everyone thought that's the beginning of the end, because Vietnam was supported by Russia and China. On the other side, the Americans had moved in. 100,000 American soldiers had died. Nobody could see a way out of this conflict. So all this material advancement, but the result was just so much misery, so much anxiety and fear. And of course Prabhupada came to America just at that time, and there was like a wave of new vibration going all through America and then all around the world. That people all of a sudden, they simply refused, we don't want to go on just accumulating so many material things. So from that the hippie movement, other things came. And then of course they also became degraded because they didn't know what is spiritual. But at least they got this, because the devotees were there just where the hippie movement was started in San Francisco. And originally their idea was, we have to find some alternative way of life, some new solution. The old solution doesn't work. We're just body and you just get so much money and then everyone fighting again, everyone. They had seen the 2 big world wars and they were tired and afraid to have a 3rd one and simply ruined their lives. So therefore they were very receptive, because Srila Prabhupada came and he had that ancient knowledge of mankind which is spiritual, which Krishna is supplying. And he supplied that to everyone who was looking for the truth, not just the hippie. Everyone was baffled to some extent. And then there was a wave going through all of America, that people all of a sudden, they started to say, we don't want war, we take a flower, flower power. And then the devotees were there chanting every day, inviting everyone to have free vegetarian food. And they were distributing so much free food. Then the hippies also started imitating. They also cooked some food and started distributing them. And when the devotees went out there doing kirtan, I met quite a few people in California and also later who were in California at that time. Even those who did become devotees, they remembered us. That sometimes we were doing Harinam and then thousands of young people would join in by and by. And there was a huge procession. And the devotees went home and the people still kept going on, singing and dancing. And then the police came and they had a big battles with these people, because as soon as police came, they somehow, some of them became disturbed and started throwing stones at them, and the police didn't know how to deal with it. There was one lady, later I met in Germany, she was there at that time, and she was arrested, and was said, we had a peaceful procession with our Hare Krishna brothers. It was a student newspaper. And then we got arrested by the police because for them it was all strange what's going on here. Everyone was just in fear. And when I came to Berkeley, I visited the Berkeley Temple many years after. There were all over the Berkeley city, which was a big student town, another place of the student and alternative movement. They had big walls painted with pictures of policemen and students fighting in those days. And then Hare Krishna and devotees singing and dancing and just telling everyone to be peaceful. So, confirmed. So when somebody sneezes, it means confirmed, you know. So that was a mission of Hare Krishna movement, that maybe for a change you don't bang each other's head, but you be nice and invite each other for prasadam and kirtan. That was a really new thing. That was totally unheard of. That this can also work, and it did work, and in our temples worked very nice. And we never had any problem. Krishna supplying everyone anyway at any time. So Krishna will supply this food and just accumulating so many things that make you happy. At least at that time that was a realization of so many people. So I perceived it like when I was a child, I was born in 57, and in the 60s, beginning 60s, as far as, when I remember back, everything was black and white in the beginning, before Prabhupada came. Television, of course, was also black and white, but there were maybe 1 or 2 stations, so that was not so bad. But also people were wearing grey clothes, and everything was grey, you know, grey and black and white. And then, as soon as this Hare Krishna movement went over America, it was like everything in springtime, the flowers come, everything becomes colorful. So all of a sudden, all the people started to wear colorful dresses and things, and the older generation became very angry sometimes when they saw that, because they were just not used to it. They said material things are everything, how can you do that? Yes. But the young people wanted something else. So we can see that especially the devotees were most colorful. You could see them from far away. So when I first met devotees, it was like I was maybe 12 years old. Yeah, 69, I was 12, hardly 12 years old. And I went with my mother, our baby and son, shopping to Hamburg. We were living like 40 kilometers outside of Hamburg, which was just a small town. Which is actually the small town where I'm from, is the area where they grow a lot of roses. It's the area where at that time they grew most roses in the whole world. There's a lot of agriculture going on where I lived, near that small town where I lived. So I was kind of, didn't see many things. It's a small town, and I didn't get around very much, but I was reading many books about, you know, adventures, different cultures in the world. It was always interesting, different religions, all that, very fascinating. In my small town, everything was kind of very narrow, but in one sense also very simple. And then I came with my mother to Hamburg, and we went out of this second largest train station. It's quite huge, near the main station. It's another very big station where many trains stand. And we walked out there. It's called Dampur Station, and there was like a bridge for people to walk. And on that bridge there was like a big commotion. There were like hundreds and hundreds of people, and the sound of drums was there, and we couldn't see what's going on there. So we were walking closer, and then we see these people dressed in orange and had shaved heads. At that time nobody had shaved heads. There were no skinheads or anything like that. No one was wearing straight haircut and things. Many people, older ones, were wearing suit and tie and the hat even. And especially the older women, they were all dressed very chaste, and also they had hats on like this, you know, mostly gray, black. And then there's like an explosion of color, these devotees there, you know, saris and dhotis, clothes we have never seen in our whole life, and this painted forehead and flowers, and huge posters they were holding up on sticks, you know, of Chaitanya and Krishna, and we had never seen such pictures, you know. somebody who's blue, with long hair. Hardly anyone was wearing long hair, only the students, and many people were disturbed about it. They thought this is outside of the normal order. So, and then they were singing and playing cartels and banging drums, and they had gloves even on their fingers to protect their hands. But they're beating the drums so much, that they wouldn't crack. And there's a whole, people never seen anything like that. They were all just coming, like hundreds and hundreds, huge crowds, big commotion. I was going like, oh, I want to go there and see it. That was very attractive for me. And wow, this is different. This is really exciting. And my mother pulled me by the hand. She didn't allow me to go close. And I was obedient. But I thought whenever I have a chance, I will try to find out what that is. That was like, wow. Something very special, And so later, then, about 2-3 years later, I was a devotee. I was one of these people singing and dancing. And still there were so many of these black and white people and this past war generation people who just after all these wars just wanted law and order and work hard and enjoy their senses and accumulate things. And that's all they knew. And the younger generation were confused and they were thinking, we don't want to go along with it, we have to find an alternative. Many of them, not all, but those who were somehow a little intelligent. And then we were there, and because the people were upset about this younger generation, their refusal to go along with it, they also, of course, projected that into us. When we were doing kirtan, a lot of people were shouting at that. Go to the gas chamber, some were shouting, in Germany, we heard it all the time. Crazy, hippies, this, that, Go to work was like the constant mantra we heard. Go work. Labor camp, put them in labor camp, that's their concentration camps. There were still many Nazis from the Second World War. Now you don't find it's not like that every German is Nazi. I don't see that, No, the younger generations are practically quite nice. But at that time, even these old women, sometimes they came and they saw us and then with their handbags trying to beat at us like that, And we thought, oh, this is great, it is so revolutionary, we are on the right track here somehow, we are actually creating a response in people, some reaction is coming here. So there's a big discussion, And the first Back to Garden magazines, they were so revolutionary, they were always like articles commenting on political events or world situation like that. And I remember there was one monument also from war monument, some with soldiers, and they were standing in front of it. It was on the front of our magazine, and devotees holding up the poster of Krishna and the Maha Mantra, and it looked like revolution is coming, So Prabhupada once mentioned that in an interview on communism and things, what he thinks about revolution, and he said, all this revolution useless because there's a revolution and there's a counter-revolution again, and there's again a counter-revolution. But our revolution is first of all peaceful, it doesn't come from the guns. Our bullets is prasadam, these balls, how do you call it in Danish here? These kugler, right?
Kulegov.
Huh?
Kulegov.
Kulegov. Kulegov. Very beautiful name. Sounds very revolutionary. Viking-like, Kulegov. It's a great thing, And then these are our bullets, and they get everyone, friends and enemies alike, they don't distinguish, they just hit you right in your tongue and in the heart also, So there's a connection there also. When you feed someone, it becomes, after some time, attached to you also. So that is the genius formula of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so we're having this